Alright, so today I'm back with yet another chapter review, and today we will go over chapter 267, which is going to be something really special, as we will see the aftermath of Kaiser's insane goal in the latest chapter, and we will also see a really heartbreaking departure between two characters, so I can definitely guarantee that it's worth sticking around, because it's insane. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking, and let's get right into the chapter. However, before that, please double check that you are subscribed to the channel, as there's 83% of people who watch my video who haven't subscribed yet. So if you could fix that by going down and subscribing to the channel, that would be awesome. And while you're already down there, you can always leave a like and a comment. Alright, so to start off chapter 267, the text at the top says, "Both teammates and opponents are left speechless as Kaiser's new weapon smashes into the back of the net." And we definitely see that, as it looks like both Kunigami and Charles can't believe their eyes after seeing Kaiser's goal. The commentators scream that it was a super golazo. After that, they say that despite struggling earlier in the match with a single strike and with the entire football world tuned into this match, Michael Kaiser shows why he's considered one of the best strikers of his generation. And then we see Kaiser, who makes his awesome goal celebration by lifting his hand towards the sky. Nanas can't believe his eyes and wonders what that shot's trajectory was. Karasu, who's also in shock, realizes that it was what Kaiser was going for the entire time. And then we also see Tokimitsu, who's honestly a bit afraid as he says that it's impossible and that there's no way to stop a shot like that. Isagi is looking at Kaiser and his eyes are filled with total darkness as he thinks that Kaiser is an emperor who's willing to sacrifice everything for his evolution. After that, we have Charles, who says damn and also calls him a show-off. Hiyori, on the other hand, goes straight to Kiora and asks him why he passed to Kaiser. Kiora is a bit taken off guard and says that there was no specific reason, looking back at Hiyori and saying that both of them were going to score regardless and that he could have easily passed to Isagi instead of Kaiser. However, Kiora admits that he tends to ally himself with the underdog, which shocks Hiyori as it was not what he expected to hear. Kiora continues and says that if the underdog wins, then it's all because of him. He starts to walk away while saying that with his borderline decisions, he can constantly shift the scales of power to whomever he chooses. Hiyori doesn't really know what to say and just calls him a weirdo while Isagi asks him to wait up. Kiora stops, and Isagi asks him if this means that he will side with Kaiser from now on. However, Kiora says that it's not the case at all, saying that this time it just so happened that his interests aligned with his, but next time, who knows? Starting to walk off once again while saying that until the last minute, not even the gods know who he chooses to side with, which, I'm not going to lie, sounds extremely cool. Isagi says that he will remember that, and Kiora just says alright, showing that he really doesn't give a shit about it. But with that, Isagi now understands Kiora-jin's philosophy. He thinks to himself, and says that there's no doubt that Kiora played a massive role in Kaiser's goal, but it all started when Kaiser changed his approach, thinking back and saying that he abandoned his obsession with Isagi, and by passing to Reichi instead of Ness, he showed that he was willing to work with everyone else, even going as far as forcing Kunigami to work with him, and then, for the finishing touch, got Kiora to deliver the crucial final pass. By throwing away Kaiser's pride and logically pursuing results, he propelled himself into his top performance, finally coming to the conclusion that without a doubt, Kaiser's 100% a holistic ego type. However, that kind of superficial analysis wasn't enough for Isagi to stop him, and he thinks that there's something that he still doesn't understand about Kaiser and his overall mindset. Thinking that to defeat Kaiser, he needs to gather more information. After that, we see Kaiser, who's walking, and Ness behind him. Ness stops him and calls out his name, and Kaiser looks at Ness. Ness is looking extremely happy, as he has stars in his eyes, as he says that Kaiser is incredible, saying that even though Ness couldn't deliver that final pass, he was still able to shoot it as he did during training. But not only that, as this shot was even greater than any of the shots he scored during training, and the way everything fell in place, it was almost as if God was on Kaiser's side. Kaiser just glanced at Ness with an uninterested look. But Ness continues as he says that his work ethic and perseverance helped turn an impossibility into a reality, saying that Kaiser truly is a player destined to become the best striker in the world. As he's saying, he looks so proud and happy for Kaiser, but after that, Kaiser speaks up. Kaiser thanks Ness, as it was thanks to him that Kaiser was able to come this far. Thanks to the freedom Ness's football gave him, he has become stronger since joining Bastard Munchen. These words mean so much to Ness that he starts to cry, but as he's crying, Kaiser says that he doesn't need Ness anymore. As Ness hears that, his expression changes drastically. Kaiser says that this match showed him what he needs to become even stronger, and says that he doesn't need the freedom that Ness brings anymore. Ness looks crushed as his tears keep on flowing down his face. Kaiser tells Ness not to follow him anymore and to find a new king instead. While walking away, he says that he thrives best in discomfort, and just like that, he leaves Ness. Isagi was able to overhear their conversation and hear what Kaiser said about discomfort. His pieces start to fly around again as he says freedom or restriction before saying that he gets it now, saying that depending on the environment, people's performance can change, regardless of whether we want it or not. He says that there are people like him who are freedom ego types, people who thrive in conditions where they are allowed the freedom to change their winning formulas. Conversely, there's the restrictive ego type. Those are people who thrive in conditions with clearly defined rules and objectives and faithfully accomplish those objectives to achieve success, or those who thrive in conditions where they rebel against those rules and objectives. Saying that if they combine these two ego types with the individualistic and holistic ego types, then they can categorize each egoist into one of these four ego types. Here we have Isagi and Hiyori, who are both holistic and freedom ego types, while Shido and Bachira are individualistic freedom ego types. Kunigami is an individualistic and restrictive ego type, while Kaiser is a holistic and restrictive ego type. Isagi can't believe what he's just figured out, as he says that the quality of his analysis is increasing, and with this, he can understand more about each egoist. If he's then able to pinpoint Kaiser's weaknesses with this, then he will be able to, before he can finish his sentence. Kaiser calls out his name. Kaiser takes his hand through his hair and says that he's on fire right now, and that this is the most excited he's ever been, saying that thanks to Isagi, he's been reborn or metamorphized, and because of that, he says that the two of them should settle this once and for all. With this, they should determine who's the king of their generation, and see which one devours who. Isagi isn't one to back down, so he looks straight into Kaiser's eyes and tells him to bring it on. Both of them have an immense aura around them, and their eyes are literally burning with excitement. Isagi thinks that if he can crush Kaiser, then he will be able to grab the golden ticket that will lead him to become the world's best player, and after that, they both leave. However, we can see Rin, who was watching them closely. We get a close-up of his face as he just says kill after looking at Kaiser and Isagi. The text at the bottom says, overshadowed by three of his rivals, Itoshi Rin seethes with rage. As both teams wait for the game to restart, the aloof genius prepares to assert his dominance and announce himself as the world's best player. The next chapter is going to be called Pressure, and with the last panel being Rin and the bottom text being about him, I think that the next chapter will focus on him, and maybe about the pressure he's feeling right now, as it feels like every one of his rivals is going ahead of him while he hasn't done anything in this match yet. Alright, let's go over this chapter. First, let's talk about Kiora. I'm going to be real and say that I love how they have done his character. Until now, he was always a mystery, and still is to be honest, but I like how he isn't necessarily allying himself with anyone, just going with the flow and passing who he wants to. It makes the situations when he has to ball to be unexpected and mysterious. It makes him somewhat of a wild card because you never know what's going to happen. Now I feel like we have to go over Ness. I do feel extremely bad for Ness, but it was kind of a given after Kaiser started playing with the Blue Lock players. However, now I'm left wondering what Ness's next step will be. The most obvious play for him would be to try and go over to Isagi, but that would be kind of boring in my opinion. I want him to evolve on his own and find his own ego, just like Hiyori did. But I definitely see Ness working together with Isagi in the future, as it's either Isagi or Kaiser he can choose from, and Kaiser doesn't want him. It would be cool if he just went into savage mode and tried to score on his own, but that would never work for a player like Ness. What do you think will happen to Ness in the future? Please let me know in the comments. Lastly, this panel is just amazing. Finally, being able to see the competition between Kaiser and Isagi now that both of them are at 100% is amazing, and I think that the next few chapters are going to be wild, especially when we've gotten hints about Rin's potential starting to absolutely do something in this game instead of just backseating. However, I wonder how he will be able to get into the game right now. It's probably going to be some sort of chemical reaction with Charles or Loki if he enters. However, I still have big hopes for Nanase, as I'm confident that he will make some sort of big play in this game. Anyway, yeah, this is just my thoughts on it, and please leave your thoughts and theories down in the comments, as I love reading them. If you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.